Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Coming up, legendary journalist Ted Koppel joins us to talk about the polarized media and why he thinks the New York Times and Washington Post lost objectivity in the era of Donald Trump. But first, we are 1 month out from Super Bowl 56, and there is an element of preparation you may not be thinking about. Super Bowl sex trafficking. While we still don't know which teams are going to be competing on the gridiron, sadly, there is one thing we do know. Prowling the sidelines outside SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles will no doubt be criminals hoping to capitalize on the massive event that draws tens of thousands of fans and spectators every year. Sex traffickers are among the tourists, temp workers, ticket holders who travel to the Super Bowl looking for customers willing to pay for sex with their vulnerable victims. Earlier this month, a federal jury sentenced this man, 48-year-old Edward Walker of Connecticut, to 25 years in prison for trafficking 2 women and a teenage girl from Connecticut to Miami for the 2020 Super Bowl. Court documents say Walker told one of the women he, quote, loves broken girls. Walker forced the victims to prostitute themselves to 2 men on a yacht who, quote, agreed to pay the women $300 each for sex acts. Undercover officers working with the FBI's Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force answered an online ad which Walker had forced one of the women to post. From there, they were able to rescue the victims. Last year, when the Super Bowl was held in Tampa, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office arrested 75 people who were attempting to buy or sell sex, and deputies saved half a dozen victims who were being trafficked. Other large sporting events provide ample opportunities for traffickers. Prosecutors say the Connecticut guy Walker, who was sentenced last week, had plans to traffic victims to the NBA All-Star game after leaving Miami. Now, thanks to the efforts of law enforcement, he never got that chance. With this year's big game set to take place in California, a state which already has one of the worst human trafficking problems in the country, the concern is high. The LA County Sheriff's Office has already said it's bracing for an influx of human traffickers and reminding people to be on the lookout. Joining me now is former California Department of Justice Supervising Deputy Attorney General Maggy Krell. She's also the author of the new book, Taking Down Backpage, Fighting the World's Largest Sex Trafficker. Maggy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
So you were with the statewide human trafficking coordinator. You were in that position the last time the Super Bowl was held in California. You've got a lot of experience with this topic. How does law enforcement prepare for an event like this?
That's right. It was at Levi's Stadium, I think 6 years ago, and the Broncos beat the Panthers, if I remember correctly. But my focus was human trafficking, and the fact that there are more people at an area and there's increased tourism certainly means more opportunities for human traffickers and for predators. In terms of law enforcement preparations, just as important as planning all the busts is making sure that there are adequate services for survivors.
Now, how do the traffickers typically find the Johns who are just in town for a weekend like the Super Bowl?
Often it's online ads on a variety of websites, no longer Backpage, and that's the subject of my book. But there's other online sites that traffickers are using and that buyers are using to connect with victims.
And how do the traffickers find most of the victims to exploit?
Well, some of the victims will be people in the Los Angeles area already. So the idea that people are brought from all out of town, it sometimes happens that way, but oftentimes it doesn't. But basically, these are oftentimes teenage girls who are vulnerable. They have vulnerability factors at home. They've been failed by the child welfare system. They have unmet needs, either because they've been neglected or they've been sexually abused or they've run away from home. And they're looking for a little bit of help, and they get met by a predator. And, thanks to a lopsided power dynamic, the predator is able to take advantage of them and then traffic them for that trafficker's financial benefit. And that's exactly, what happened in the Edward Walker case that we were talking about earlier.
Have the authorities gotten better at tracking down these traffickers before an event like the Super Bowl?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of planning that goes into this. In terms of California specifically, we have some really great proactive laws here. There's a law that requires certain kinds of businesses that are more likely to interface with trafficking victims to have to post posters about human trafficking, including the hotline. So motels, transportation hubs, airports will all have that information. Additionally, certain industries are required to be trained. So the hospitality industry staff will be trained, so they'll be on the lookout too. So this isn't just about law enforcement making its arrests, it's also about a community awareness aspect of it. And then of course, making sure that survivors, when they are recovered, really receive the services that they need.
What can we do about the John side of this? You know, these people are coming in, they're there to sort of party, I guess, for the weekend. How do we shame them? How do we prevent this from happening on their side? I mean, I know what happens to the traffickers, right? We've seen that. If they get caught, they're going to get prosecuted. We also talk sometimes about what happens to some of these women. Some of them get charged. Hopefully, if they're victims, it's recognized that they were victims, and then they don't get charged, hopefully. But what about the Johns?
The buyers should absolutely be held accountable. I mean, the impact on the victims of this crime is so devastating. Many of these victims are children, are teenagers. They're very vulnerable, and buyers are taking advantage of them, and they should be held responsible for that.
But are they typically?
I mean, the consequences are not very severe, but when it is a minor, there are more serious consequences for that. And under federal law, it falls under the sex trafficking definition.
Right. And this is not just a problem. I mean, we're talking about this in the context of the Super Bowl. This is obviously a much bigger issue than just beyond the Super Bowl, which actually I would think could help in bringing some awareness and attention to the problem.
Absolutely. I mean, we use the Super Bowl as a tool to talk about this problem, but this happens every single day in every single city, not just cities that have a Super Bowl. This is happening every day of the year, unfortunately.
Maggy Krell, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's an important topic, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Airports and planes are filling up again, but if you owe money to the government, that trip may not be happening. I was stunned when I heard about this. That's coming up. Also coming up, he's one of the nation's most respected journalists, Ted Koppel. He's seen it all, reported on it all. Tonight, we'll talk to him about cable news, the Biden presidency, and why he thinks many in the mainstream media have lost objectivity. America's flying again. In just the first 2 weeks of 2022, over 18 million of us have gone through TSA checkpoints, compared to half that number during the same time period last year. But if you're planning on a trip that requires you to apply for a passport or to renew your passport, you better not owe the tax man. The State Department's backlog of 2 million passport requests won't be your problem if you have unpaid taxes. Some now getting their passports yanked and applications for new and renewed passports denied because they owe Uncle Sam. It's a little-known U.S. law, an IRS regulation, allows the State Department to revoke your current passport or deny your application if you have delinquent tax debt. I know, you're thinking, what's the number? What's the number? $55K. Be careful. You might not owe that much, but with interest and penalties, it can add up fast. Joining us now, my old pal, the travel detective, Peter Greenberg. Mr. Greenberg, it has been a long time. Good to see you. Who knew about this? I didn't know about this. Is this something you folks in the travel world have known about forever?
No, I kind of found out about it because it's buried in something called Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act, the FAST Act. And buried in that act is a provision that allows the State Department to be called by the IRS if you owe that taxes. And the thing about the tax number that you just mentioned, that 52,000, is if you have delinquency in your taxes, remember, you may only owe maybe $20,000, but with interest and penalties, there's your $52,000 threshold. Bingo, you lose your passport, or worse, if you're applying for one, you can't get it until you pay off.
So how aggressive is the IRS in terms of, going after your passport if you haven't paid taxes?
Last year, not at all, for all the obvious reasons. They were preoccupied with other issues. This year, however, everybody's back at work. They're following up. Remember, we had a backlog of passport applications of nearly 2 million in 2021 because the passport offices were essentially closed. They sent their people home, and you can't physically process a passport unless you're in the office. Well, they're now back. So the good news is that backlog has been taken apart. They're now about 6-week backlog as opposed to 8 months. So people are now getting their passports. And by the way, if you have to renew your passport now, do it now. You don't want to lose your summer waiting for a passport. But now that the applications are coming in, the different agencies are talking to each other, and the enforcement actions happen.
But they can also revoke it, meaning like you've got a valid passport, you're not looking to renew, you got plenty of time on it. They can come in and say, hey, by the way, your passport's no longer valid?
Yep, they have that right under that provision in the law. And as a result, they've been making a lot of collections. In 2019, they collected millions of dollars from people because they needed, look, without a passport, your options are quite limited, especially if you're in business and doing a lot of stuff overseas. So they know it's an important lever they can use. They didn't use it last year for all the obvious reasons. They're now starting to use it.
So what's if you've got some debt and you realize this could be a problem, obviously you got to paying your taxes. Is there something else?
But the IRS has payment programs like everybody else. You can negotiate that. You can make smaller payments as long as you're on a schedule. However, miss the payment, lose the passport again.
Now, is it true you have 2 passports?
I do. And the reason for that is, by the way, that's legal. Any American can have 2 passports.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, Peter, I want to give you your rights to know that anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
And I am not in the witness relocation program. I actually have 2 passports because I go to a lot of countries that don't like each other. And I'm qualified then to get that second passport, but anybody can get that. The difference is your primary passport is valid for 10 years, your secondary passport's valid for 4, and then has to be renewed. But it's also very helpful for a lot of business travelers to do that, because if they have to use their passport to get a visa, and of course the passport's out of circulation, they can then use that second passport.
Wait, just so I understand, because someone was in my ear when you said one thing there. You can just have 2 American passports and they're both valid?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally legal. Anybody can apply for
it. And they can have different expiration dates on them?
Oh, they do have different expiration dates. The secondary passport by law only has a 4-year validity. Your primary passport has a 10-year validity. Yeah. Why am I so surprised? Because I would have thought that's illegal, right? I would have thought the idea of having 2 driver's licenses with different dates of expiration, et cetera, probably wouldn't be legal. And you're telling me you can have 2 passports. Yeah, this actually started a number of years ago, because if I was traveling with a passport that had an Israeli stamp in it, there are countries I couldn't go to, and vice versa, with other countries that were warring against each other in the African continent. So that's why they made that provision. It's still on the books today. It's totally legal.
All right. So now I got to make sure that I don't owe money before I apply for my second passport.
Yeah, because you're not going to get the third. And then the second thing is, for everybody watching me now, if you have less than 6 months of validity left on your current passport, apply for it now, because there's so many countries now that will not let you in if you have less than 6 months validity, because they don't want you there and then not having a passport.
All right. Well, I'm going to go get a second passport. It's not that I'm traveling all that often, but I am. But I always learn from Peter Greenberg. Peter, good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show.
You got it, Dan.
Coming up, we are living in polarized times, but recently there has been a disturbing trend. A comparison being made time and again by partisans to the Nazis. They want to argue how bad the other side is, and both sides are doing it. Why can't they just stop with it? We're going to show you what I'm talking about up next. Time now for our Mediaite moments, where we check in on the day's bias, buzz, and bull in the world of cable news and beyond. We are living in a very divided political time, with most partisan Americans thinking the very worst of their political foes. It is also true that opinion-based cable news and the over-the-top rhetoric has played a big part in that divide. The worst example of that is the growing and irresponsible trend of comparing your political opponents to Nazis. And it happens way more than it should on both sides of the media universe. Fox News' Lara Logan went there in describing Dr. Anthony Fauci.
What you see on Dr. Fauci, this is what people say to me, that he doesn't represent science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who did experiments on Jews during the Second World War and in the concentration camps.
Okay. Obviously, that is beyond reckless and dumb, and maybe the reason, by the way, why Lara Logan hasn't been seen on Fox News in a while. Then there's MSNBC's Mehdi Hasan, called out the inflammatory rhetoric of his foes by, yes, comparing them to Nazis.
You go back to the Nazi period, referring to Jews as rats. I mean, that is a language that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are bringing into American politics. So you can say, oh, it's just offensive, it's just trolling. No, it's dehumanizing your opponents, and we know where that leads.
However irresponsible her language may be, Hasan is, again, claiming his opponents are dehumanizing their opponents by calling his opponents Nazis. Chris Hayes also went there in comparing supporters of Glenn Youngkin, who honored a flag flown at the Capitol on January 6th.
The people at the Virginia rally yesterday are not Nazis, clearly. But when you hear this story, you look at them pledging allegiance to a flag used on the day of the insurrection of the Capitol.
Not sure that saying that they're not actually Nazis really changes it much. And of course, on the other side, Fox's Tucker Carlson went there in discussing critical race theory.
Schools are teaching students, your children, that some races are inherently superior to other races. That's the definition of racism. That some children are born with the stain of sin inherently? That's Nazi stuff. It is. It's totally un-American.
Critical race theory, of course, controversial topic. Why invoke the Nazis? And politicians are doing it too. Like one-time presidential hopeful Beto O'Rourke, who had no problem comparing the Trump administration to Hitler's Third Reich.
I compared the rhetoric that the president has employed to rhetoric that you might have heard during the Third Reich. Calling human beings an infestation is something that we might have expected to hear in Nazi Germany.
Again and again and again. Look, there is an adage called Godwin's Law that states that the longer debate goes on, the more likely it becomes that someone alleges the other is a Nazi. In the media world, sadly, the debate doesn't even need to go on that long at all for the outrage inciters to go there. It is a sad reflection of where media is today. That's our wrap-up of the day's media bias, buzz, and bull. Coming up, he is one of the most esteemed journalists in America. When I was a budding journalist, I wanted to be him. That man is Ted Koppel. He's going to join us to discuss everything from presidential politics to bias in media. That's next. If you were a budding journalist around my age, there was one person, one journalist, most of us, including me, aspired to be. Ted Koppel. For a quarter century, Koppel hosted a program which was a testament to the type of even-handed, fact-based journalism seldom seen on TV these days. As the anchor of ABC's Nightline, he was a fixture in American homes, bringing the nation important, compelling stories and interviews while upholding the highest standards of the profession. Things have changed a lot since then, with bombast often coming to define the industry. But Ted Koppel hasn't gone there and has maintained that sterling reputation through it all. So we're thrilled to welcome senior correspondent for CBS Sunday Morning and one of the true legends of American journalism, Ted Koppel. Sir, great to have you on the show.
It's nice to be with you, Dan.
So I'm going to want to get your take on the state of the media. But first, I want to just talk to you about where the country is today. In its sort of broadest sense, the Biden presidency is now a year old. Anything that surprised you about this administration? Anything stand out to you from the Biden White House in its first year?
Well, I must tell you, Dan, the only thing that surprises me is that anyone wants to run for the presidency. If you just look at all the problems that confronted, and whatever you may think about Joe Biden's predecessor, he faced a ton of problems too. I can't imagine why anyone wants that job.
Fair enough. And, you know, the president campaigned on a promise to try to unite the country, try and bring people together, try to govern in a more bipartisan manner. He hasn't been able to do that. Do you think he's to blame for that?
No, I think the world has changed. The technology has changed. 30 years ago, we had something in this country that was quite literally imposed on the broadcast industry, and it was called the Fairness Doctrine. And it required that if you did an interview with someone on the right, then you had to balance it with an interview with someone on the left. I mean, it wasn't strictly enforced, but it was there. In 1987, that was eliminated, largely, I must say, under Republican pressure. And 1 year later, 1988, a young man by the name of Rush Limbaugh came on the scene, and he began doing a radio program which made absolutely no effort or no pretense at being even-handed. He was unabashedly conservative. And from that moment on, he was so successful that he had a lot of imitators, and then came Fox News. And over the course of the past 30 years, the technology has changed so much that what I grew up with, which was a sense that journalism required a certain even-handedness, it's been replaced now by a technology which allows anyone with access to a laptop computer or an iPhone or an iPad to be their own publisher, to be their own broadcaster.
And do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, you know, some, of course, would say that, you know, having these kingmakers in place who decided what news the Americans got to see and what opinions people got to hear was unfair, and now they would argue it's a much more democratic system.
Well, you can certainly describe it as the democratization of journalism, but what you've got then is quite literally millions of people with the capacity to put out any kind of garbage that they want. And I use the word garbage advisedly. Are there good things on the internet? Of course there are. But the fact of the matter is that people of my generation who were in journalism quite literally had to go through at least a modest training program and abide by a fairly well understood set of rules as to what you could and could not do. Was there bad journalism? Of course there was. But for the most part, it was much more even-handed 30 years ago than it is today.
You know, hanging over everything, even a year after he's left office, is Donald Trump. He's using his popularity within the GOP to, you know, almost demand a level of compliance from other Republicans and insisting that they accept the premise that he actually won the 2020 election. How do you see this dynamic playing out in the Republican Party through 2024?
I don't know. I mean, at the moment, it's very hard to see anyone in the Republican Party, if for his own reasons, Donald Trump decides that he's not going to run again in 3 years. It's almost an accepted fact at this point that no one who does not have his blessing is going to have a chance at the GOP nomination.
And the January 6th commission, I have said that I think that there is too much cable news coverage of the commission's every breath on CNN and MSNBC, and that I believe that you can care enormously about what happened on January 6th. You can look forward to the outcome of the commission's report and also be critical of how much coverage some, and particularly in the left-leaning media, are giving of the commission. Do you agree with me?
Well, to a certain degree. I mean, the fact of the matter is that television news, whether it was broadcast news or cable news or ultimately what is seen on the internet, is all governed to one degree or another by the amount of money that it makes for the people who are putting it out there. And what the folks on cable news have discovered is that Donald Trump was very, very good for business, for the business of television news. And in fact, cable outfits like CNN and MSNBC and Fox discovered that all they had to do was, in the early days of the campaign, for example, there were times when CNN would quite literally, for 15 or 20 minutes, have live video of an empty tarmac because they were awaiting the arrival of Donald Trump's plane. Did they know what he was going to say? Did they have any sense that what he was going to say was going to make news? Absolutely not. But they did know that the promise of Donald Trump on their air was going to hold viewers to that channel, to CNN, to MSNBC. And in fact, that continues to one degree or another to this day.
Do you equate Fox with CNN and MSNBC in that regard?
No, I think Fox is far more unabashedly partisan, certainly than CNN. But you know, to a certain degree, is MSNBC partisan? Of course they are. Yes, they are. Let me tell you a quick story. When you were, I guess you would have been at Duke 30 years ago, right? Is that roughly correct? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
that is correct. Yes.
There you go. When you were studying at Duke, I was reading the New York Times one day, and there was a story that caught my attention, and I called the reporter and I asked him if he would come on that evening as a guest because I wanted to do that story and needed his input. And he said, I'm going to have to talk to Abe. Abe Rosenfeld at that time was the managing editor of the New York Times. He called me back about half an hour later. I said, what did Abe say? He said, Abe said, you want to go on Nightline? Go ahead, go on Nightline. But then don't come back to the New York Times. That's the way things were 30 years ago. Anyone who worked for the Times, anyone who worked for the Post, anyone who worked for the Wall Street Journal, worked for that newspaper. They wouldn't have appeared on a television program as a guest because people might, you know, Koppel might ask some kind of question that would provoke a partisan response, and we don't want anybody knowing, you know, what the politics are of our reporters. Things have changed a lot.
That's for sure. All right, let me take a break here. If I could ask you to just stick around for a minute, because in the past you have criticized the New York Times and Washington Post coverage as being biased against Donald Trump. I want to talk about that and a little bit more about the polarized media. Coming up with more with Ted Koppel in a moment. We're back with legendary journalist Ted Koppel, now senior correspondent for CBS Sunday Mornings. Let me ask you, back in 2019, you said the following. You said, I'm terribly concerned that when you talk about the New York Times these days, when you talk about the Washington Post these days, we're not talking about the New York Times of 50 years ago. We're not talking about the Washington Post of 50 years ago. We're talking about organizations that I believe have, in fact, decided as organizations that Donald J. Trump is bad for the United States. Do you still feel that way? And if so, how has that, do you think, impacted media coverage of Donald Trump over the past few years?
Well, let me be absolutely clear. I think the New York Times and the Washington Post do some absolutely brilliant journalism. But I think opinion belongs on the opinion page. That's why they call it the op-ed section. And that's where the opinion pieces are, the columns, that's where the editorials are, and that's where it belongs. I don't like seeing opinion being expressed on the front page of a great newspaper. Having said that, let me say again, I think the Times, the Post, the Wall Street Journal are doing some of the best journalism that I have seen over the past 50 years. I just wish they wouldn't slip into that category. And when you start, Lyndon Johnson used to say, when you get down in the mud with a hog who loves it, and you both get dirty, right? So it bothers me when I see them losing some of the criteria that always used to keep a wall between opinion and news coverage.
And as you know, the response to that from some would be that Donald Trump is different, that he has to be covered differently by the media than others. What do you make of that?
Well, I think if you start drawing those distinctions, it's very difficult to know where you stop drawing the distinction. Do you feel that way about anybody else in politics? Are we going to start picking up our morning newspaper to see who's in and who's out in terms of the news coverage? Again, there is a place for that in the op-ed section. I don't like it on the front page.
Yeah. What do you? Let me actually. In an exchange in 2017, you told Sean Hannity that you think he's, quote, bad for America. Let me play that piece of sound here.
Sure.
We have to give some credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at it. Yeah.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion shows.
That's sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
So let me ask you this. You were very direct with Sean Hannity. Do you think that there's a place for opinion shows that offer opinions from different sides as opposed to just one side?
Well, whether I feel that there's a place for them or not, it's absolutely inevitable that they're going to appear now. That's why the cable networks are making money these days. The fact of the matter is, when Rupert Murdoch came along with Fox and started presenting news with a distinctly conservative, right-wing slant to it, the folks over at NBC, who also owned a little cable outfit called MSNBC that was going nowhere, saw that Fox was making $1 billion a year. And they said to themselves, if you can do that on the right, we can do it on the left. And they have. And the fact of the matter is they're doing better now than they've ever done before. Is that good for America? I don't think so, but I'm an old-fashioned journalist, and I've got to admit that my day has come and gone. The network news shows are not what they used to be. The network news shows now are frequently programmed on the basis of what's trending on social media. Is that the right way? 50 years ago, the questions that the executive producers of those evening news programs asked themselves, quite literally, was, is it, what is going on in the world today? Is it good for the world at large? Is it good for my country? Is it good for my home? And if it represents a threat, let's explain that. These days, you're more likely to see something get on the air because it's a dramatic picture, whatever its news value may have been.
Ted Koppel, you're so cynical about the American media today.
I'm old. It goes with old age. You'll get there eventually. Talk to you about it.
Yes. No, but it does sound like to you believe that it, and I think you're probably right, that all news is now being dictated by dollars. Do you think that applies as well to the papers that you were lauding a few moments ago, like the Times and the Post and the Journal?
Well, the fact of the matter is that social media, the internet, has been very, very good to those newspapers. And the fact that I don't know whether it's more people now who read the Times and the Post online than read the actual print newspaper. But if it's not, then they're very close to that. And the fact of the matter is, where most newspapers around the country are in huge financial trouble, the Times and the Post are doing extremely well now. And they're doing well by putting out, for the most part, an absolutely superb product.
Do you watch cable news a lot?
I watch it when I'm working out. You know, so I'd say I watch it probably an hour a day. Yeah.
And is there a channel in particular you watch?
Oh, I'll flip back and forth between CNN, MSNBC. I do check in on Fox almost daily because I like to know what they're saying too. You know, am I more a centrist than right of center or left of center? Absolutely. Always have been.
And look, I view myself the same way. And that's been the mission of this show, is to try to do a cable news show for people left and right of center. We'll see in the long haul if it works.
How's it working for you so far?
Well, we got Ted Koppel on the show. It's a good start.
Well, that's all right. Your dad's an old friend.
Yeah, so that's the only reason, by the way. I got it. Ted Koppel, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Coming up, a quiet residential street turns into the Wild West, a man firing at police with a long gun. We're on scene with officers during the terrifying moments. Up next. We are on scene tonight with newly released body cam and surveillance video from the Houston Police Department showing the dangers that officers face across the country. Police were called to a home as a man was threatening members of his family, and officers had responded to calls at this home before. The suspect, Mark Limon, left before officers arrived, but then police saw the suspect's pickup truck and tried to pull him over. He sped away and drove back to his house. A doorbell camera across the street showed what happened as he pulled up. Limon got out of the truck in the middle of the street and started firing at officers with a rifle as they arrived.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Officers took cover behind their cars and fired back, shooting Limon in the abdomen as he ran away. Police found him on the ground between two houses. They handcuffed the suspect, gave him first aid until an ambulance arrived. Limon survived and is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault against an officer, set to appear in court next month. Fortunately, no officers were injured. Joining me again, Sean Sticks Larken, retired Tulsa police lieutenant. Sticks, good to see you. So domestic calls, always dangerous. We talk about this a lot. In this case, the suspect had led police on a chase. He returns home, but he's also someone where they've been to that house before, so they may have some information about what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the intelligence gathering we get from these type of calls. And again, I feel like I say this all the time. We've discussed this before, but oftentimes when officers go to houses, you know, the system that we use for dispatch, you can put call notes into that system. So an officer would just let dispatch know, hey, this guy's known to carry a gun, and they'll put that in there. So anytime an officer responds not only to a call back at that house, but anyone near that house. Obviously, they were out there. They knew who their suspect was. And when you listen to the audio of this body cam, during the chase, this guy actually puts the gun out the window. So That's why the officers had themselves in the tactical position they did. You could see they're basically a full house away when they stop their cars, so that way they're not up close to the suspect when he gets out with that shotgun.
Yeah, talk to us about that, that they were prepared, and this is why you could see he was sort of shooting at them at a distance.
Yeah, exactly. You know, anytime an officer conducts any type of traffic stop, you want to have some distance between yourself and the suspect vehicle. You want to put your car partially at an angle. And the reason that's even done is to use the engine block in your front wheel as ballistic cover in the event there's shots fired. Another great position for an officer to be at if they're involved in shots fired with their car is at the rear of it, because it's got the whole vehicle that a bullet would have to travel through. You know, that vehicle, it's a mobile office for us. So you try to find these spots that's going to be safe for you in the event something goes bad. Something else you see in there, you know, the first two officers are using a handgun. The next officer responds, he's got a patrol rifle, you know, something shooting a larger caliber bullet. And he actually runs up and lays down in the street to give himself a good shooting platform where he fires 3 rounds at the suspect as well.
Take another look at that, because you mentioned that the body cam video as the suspect opened fire. Let's watch. Now, there's another issue here, and that is that they're in a residential area.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when he first pulls up in the house, this Ring camera actually catches what I think are family members of the suspect out front. Because after he's injured, and here when we see the officers going to take him into custody, they're actually running up to the suspect that's down on the ground. So yeah, obviously always dangerous anytime you've got a gun battle, especially in a residential area. But one other thing I wanted to point out, this suspect gets out the car. He's clearly trying to, at the very least, you know, cause great bodily injury to the police officers, if not kill them. They shoot him, they get him in handcuffs, and immediately, as calm as can be, they start treating him for his gunshot wound. It's just, you know, that's the professionalism of the Houston Police Department and other departments we see across the country.
Yep, important to remember. All right, Sean Larken, good to see that your internet's working today. We really do appreciate that.
You never know, buddy. You never know. Ted Koppel was working. It's nice to follow up after him, so feel pretty special.
Right. So they're going to say to me, what'd you have on the show today? Well, you know, I had Ted Koppel and Sean Larken. It was great.
There you go. Fantastic.
Good to see you. Remember, we love hearing from you, the viewers, and having you Zoom in live. Reach out. Tell me what you like, you not like. NewsNationNow.com/DAL. Let's keep the discussion going. Join me on the show. That does it for us tonight. News Nation Prime with Marnie Hughes starts. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.